I've been up for no clue, a bajillion hours. It's the day after Charlie Kirk got shot. And this channel's not about that shit at all. But I love thinking about stuff. So, I've just been watching a lot of that political stuff, even though I don't really involve myself with politics. Just like to do my own shit in life. Yeah, but I guess I've been watching that stuff all night, and I've just been thinking. This is just going to be a video about thinking. And that kind of relates to this channel because your mind is part of your body, and a strong mind creates a strong body. So, I thought I'd just ramble about this for a sec. People are really just divided in the country, right? Just in the world, just, always been that way, really, probably. I will just talk about a thought experiment. You know, everyone's so divided, but the first thing to understand is that everybody thinks they're right about everything. Now, you can nitpick or something and be like, there are a few malicious or evil people. Yes, there's a few, but the vast majority of people just think that they're right all of the time. Okay, so whoever disagrees with you about whatever, you know, politics, religion, picking up heavy shit and putting it back on the ground, doesn't matter. The people who disagree with you, they're not trying to trick you. They think they're right as well. The most obvious example of this is religion. A lot of religions, and most of them, in their belief systems, it's a really, really bad idea to not be of that belief system. So people are really not motivated in that area of life to purposefully pick the wrong one. That's the easiest thing to show people. Like, people don't just choose the wrong religion to just like be the enemy. That doesn't make sense. So that and everything else in life, you just get brought up and have your initial ideas and stuff, and you just everyone thinks they're right. Okay, it's the first thing. People aren't actually usually bad. It's pretty rare. Most people just like they think that they're the right one and the other person's the bad person. But no, it's actually almost everyone is fine and everyone thinks that they're right and everyone else is just an opponent. But everyone else is thinking the same thing that you're thinking. Everyone else thinks that they're right. Okay? I repeated this like 8 times, but that's the first thing to understand. And if you don't understand that, you can't continue in this thing that I'm saying. What I'm saying doesn't make any sense. So just, I don't know, play that part on repeat until you understand. Basically, or at least, even if you don't agree with me, understand what I'm saying. Everyone just thinks that they're right. Okay. That's maybe that by itself is not helpful. But like, okay. So now let's imagine that, like I said, I don't keep up with politics. I have my own ideas about whatever, but let's imagine there's some new topic, totally new topic that's not ever been discussed, some new idea. And there's two people, two groups, whatever, who are debating it. And I want a quick, shortcut way to figure out what side is probably the correct side. Because I don't really want to spend too much time, and I just want to be right. Which of these sides is the better side, and I don't want to have any example that's a real life example because no matter what I say, there are going to be people who know stuff about whatever. So just some like imaginary new future idea, something that doesn't exist yet that people will debate about. Let's imagine that suddenly you were thrust into the future and you just wanted to know, like you saw two people debating this issue, which side is probably correct. Now let's imagine there's some magic at play, and both you could ask one question for the two people, and they have to answer truthfully. That's the magic. Okay, we can get rid of the whole like there are a few malicious people in the world. Okay, cool. If you could ask one question, knowing absolutely nothing about this topic, whatever they're talking about, knowing it would take you possibly like dozens of hours to really grasp what the topic even is, you ain't got time for that. In one question, what would you ask these people to know whose side you should join? Think about that for a second. Now, I don't know the answer for sure either, but just, you know, tonight walking around thinking a lot, I've come up with an idea about what I would ask these two people in this hypothetical how the fuck would this occur situation. And I'm talking about it because I think that the answer is, well, once I explain what my question is, I don't want to spoil the surprise. I would ask the two people, how much have you been wrong about stuff like this before? Now, if you're watching and you're like, oh, the magic, right? You could just, if the person, okay, you're probably thinking, oh, so the person, yeah, there's some magic at play. One person's going to tell you that they're wrong all the fucking time. So that person's fucking stupid, and you pick the one who's right all of the time. But remember, everyone thinks that they're right all of the time, and the magic just compels them to tell you the truth. It doesn't. The magic doesn't guarantee you the truth. They're just telling you their truth. And the trick here is that the correct answer to that question is the opposite of what is intuitive to most people, probably. I would ask them this question, and because there's magic at play, how you would lawyer the sentence probably it would be relevant. But basically, how much have you been wrong about stuff like this? About policies, philosophy, whatever. How often have you been wrong before? And then one would be like, I've never been wrong. I have a great track record. I know what the fuck's going on. And then one would be like, I guess I've been wrong a good deal. Okay. Okay. I would 100% pick that one. I would 100% immediately jump on the side of the person who has been wrong a lot. And that's probably not intuitive to most people. But the thing is, people who change their minds and people who have been wrong a lot end up eventually being right almost all the time. Because what happens is they'll get in some debate, they'll get in some talk, they'll get in some situation where something's going on, and they'll be like, "Oh fuck, I'm fucking retarded. I've been wrong this whole time. I'm gonna change my mind." And then they have the other better opinion. Okay, so if you take a person who does this, and then you all situations in life that they've encountered, they had their initial opinion, and they were like, "I'm fucking right," but every single time that they got in some like debate and they were like, "Oh shit, I'm fucking wrong," they then choose. Okay, so everyone has like, let's say everyone has a 50-50 chance, it's a coin flip, of being right or wrong on every issue from the get-go, the first time they understand it. Most people are just going to be like, "Well, I'm right." Okay, but the person who's like, fuck, I was wrong, they change their coin to the correct side. And so eventually, they're just right about like 90-95% of issues that they talk about. I hope you understand that. That's the second point. Okay, so if you followed the first point, everyone just thinks they're right. And the second point, which is the trick point, the people who've actually been wrong are probably the people who have been wrong a lot are probably the people who are not wrong, if that makes sense. And if you followed that so far, you can then apply this to yourself. Okay, so you're like, do I understand this topic? Jump that for a sec. Think about yourself. How often have you been wrong? If your answer to that question is basically never, you're probably wrong about a lot of stuff. And if your answer is, yeah, I'm wrong about shit all the time, well, then you're probably already kind of on the page that I'm talking about because you've been wrong before. You saw a better opinion. You changed that opinion. Now you just have the right opinion for fucking everything. But I think that this is not intuitive to most people. So, the end point conclusion of this video is that you need to ask yourself, how often in my life have I been wrong? And if the answer is not very much, I know what's going on, you maybe don't, and you should think about stuff a lot more. Now, I'm thinking about this because Charlie Kirk got killed yesterday. But relevant to the channel because this shit is true for everything in life, training included. It gives me an excuse to talk about this. So, have a good one.